Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for listening. This episode is a pretty cool one. I get a chance to chat with my buddy Chad, who recently started his own barbecue food business. He's also a Navy vet, so we talk a little bit about his service in some of the places that he's been in, maybe some of the unique barbecue he's seen, not only from being overseas, but he's been in a lot of places here in the U.S. And then we really get into kind of his motivation to start a barbecue business, American Made BBQ. And then, what he would learn, what he learned and what he would share with those maybe starting their own barbecue food business right now. So it's an awesome episode. I know there's a lot of listeners and followers out there that have always thought about, hey, can I do this? So Chad gives some really awesome tips on how he did it. And I think this would be very helpful for a lot of folks out there. Again, appreciate you all listening. If you're finding some value in the podcast, please continue to share and, like and give us a rating so more people can find us. But here you go. The next episode of Grilling to Get Away, we're talking starting your own barbecue business. Oftentimes, life is demanding, stressful, and just won't stop. When needing to take a break, we like to light up the charcoal and crack open a cold one. The Grilling to Get Away podcast is an ongoing conversation about all things barbecue and grilling, from our backyard to yours. So if you sometimes don't know what the heck you're doing, if you like to learn, and if you don't take yourself too seriously, you're in the right spot. Hey, what is going on, everyone? This is Greg, your co-host to the Grilling to Get Away podcast. Welcome back. I'm here with my buddy Chad. Chad, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast, man.
Oh, of course, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, we've been connected for probably about 2 years now. I think we got connected first at our barbecue competition a few years ago. You competed, and kind of been following each other ever since. I've seen you grow into business. So you started doing your own barbecue kind of food truck and trailer and stuff, which is awesome. It's awesome seeing that. But before we jump into that, I just want the listeners to know a little bit more about you. So if you could give maybe a little background about who you are, what you're doing, and then how long you've been kind of doing this thing called barbecue.
Sure. Yeah. Name's Chad. I'm the owner of American Made BBQ in Bristol, Wisconsin. I've been in the Navy today, 19 years.
Right.
Got about an hour and a half, a year and a half before I retire. And, I grew up eating barbecue in Virginia, and I wanted to bring that up here to Wisconsin. I told my wife when I came back up here for my last tour down in Jacksonville that this was something that I was going to look into doing. And we decided to start as small as possible. And Wisconsin's got very good transient / temporary food stand laws. So I started looking into those, got my certificate or my licenses, got my retail license, and it's been off to the races since then.
Yeah, that's great, man. I've seen you grow over the last year, which has been amazing. So are you originally from the Midwest, or are you from out like the East Coast?
Nope, I'm from Virginia.
Virginia, okay.
Yep.
And I imagine you probably grew up a little bit like in the barbecue scene, man, because there's a lot going on the East Coast over there. When did you first get started?
Oh man, we probably started learning how to cook whole hogs when we were kids. I mean,
yeah,
that was just something that we did, And then I started dabbling in a couple of different things that I didn't really grow up cooking. Ribs are super easy, but I never cooked a rack of ribs until I was married to my ex-wife. And I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't figure out how to do it. So, I throw them on the grill, not in the smoker. Throw them on the grill them, wrap them in aluminum foil, put them back in the grill, slather them in barbecue sauce, and then okay, that was cool. But 19, 20 years old, you don't really know the difference. And then I started realizing if I could cook a whole hog with smoke, I'm pretty sure I could cook other meats with smoke. and then just went from whole hog to pork butt to ribs, and now, brisket and everything else under the sun. So
Yeah, that's super interesting because most people start easy, like with like the ribs or whatever, and then they move into like the whole hog. It sounds like you kind of had a reverse experience where you were doing like whole hogs from early on, and then kind of gradually then started doing maybe what we'd all expect is maybe a little bit easier cooks.
yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So you joined the Navy, and I imagine you traveled quite a bit. Where else have you been, like, kind of stationed, or where else have you been, deployed to?
Yeah, so I've been stationed all over. My first duty station was on a Austin class LPD, which is a Marine transport out of San Diego. We deployed in 2005, 2006 as part of ESG-1 to in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. We took our Marines into Iraq, and then we went and did some anti-piracy operations off the coast of Somalia. From there, I went to a communication squadron in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places. So I had a son in San Diego. I had a son in Omaha. From there, I finally got stationed back home in Virginia on an Arleigh Burke class destroyer. 2011, we went and did some support operations in support of Operation New Dawn. Went and did some anti-piracy operations off the coast of Somalia again. Went over and did some naval surface fire support off the coast of Libya and Syria and all that stuff. From there, I came up here for my first tour as a recruit division commander, which is the Navy's version of a drill instructor or a drill sergeant, whether you're Army or Marine Corps. Got divorced, met my wife, and then went down and did a squadron out of Jacksonville, patrol squadron out of Jacksonville. Did 2 deployments with them. One was in support of operations in the North Atlantic region, and one was in Japan, flying missions in support of Southeast Asia missions.
So you've been all over, and I bet you got some pretty crazy stories about the pirates out there in Somalia, huh?
Yeah. Every time I tell my deployment stories, everybody's like, "Pirates really exist?" Yeah, but they're not the cool like Jack Sparrow ones that you think of. They're a completely different breed.
Sure. Well, maybe that's for a different episode. But
sure.
So out of all the places you've been, what's been kind of the most surprising to you as far as their cuisine, like their barbecue and stuff?
I'm actually surprised that Nebraska didn't have a bigger barbecue presence than what it does. Nebraska had a very big steak presence. Everybody always talks about ordering Omaha steaks and those boxes that you get with the steaks and this, that, and the other. And Omaha and Chicago kind of mirror each other because they're on opposite ends of the same railway, and they used to ship beef back and forth to each other. So Omaha, it was a very, very big steak location. As far as barbecue is concerned, really the only place that I saw a big significant presence of it is, of course, back home in Virginia. I'm a huge advocate for, you read some history lessons on barbecue, and barbecue started in Virginia, same history as the country back in the 1600s. And I hang my hat on that. It's one of them things where, the history of cuisine is the history of the people who came over, and laid their roots down. And, at that time in Virginia, all you had was big old open fields and pigs to put in holes. So that's what it ended up becoming. But yeah, as far as like barbecue influence, it's just the way I grew up and how we cooked everything down in Virginia. There's, depending on which part of Virginia you're in, there's a lot of Eastern North Carolina style influence, which is a vinegar base, basting and all that stuff. That's really, I guess that's really the best answer I could give on that.
Okay. No, that's perfect. I mean, you sprinkle a little bit of history in there that I know about Nebraska, and then you come back to your roots back in Virginia. So that was perfect, man. So I want to transition a little bit. Let's kind of dive into, like, now you're coming towards the end of your Navy career,
Sure.
and you want to kind of move into this barbecue space. You said you started small, so how's your evolution been? From first deciding that you're going to get out of the Navy, and then two, after you kind of fully transition out of the Navy, that you're going to go kind of full time into this barbecue thing. Why don't you? Because I know there's going to be people out there that are similar, that like they want to know how to start their own barbecue food truck, or they want to sell their barbecue because they love it and people love it. So how did you go about that process?
So the first thing I can say for people who want to start out, especially in the food service industry, is figure out how small you can start, see what you can translate from the laws, and then just pick up the phone and make those phone calls. I was worried about calling the state. State government, they're never going to answer the phone, this, that, and the other. Nope. The state of Wisconsin has been awesome to work with. The state has been awesome to work with. DATCAP has been awesome to work with. And Kenosha County has been awesome to work with. You read something, you can't really figure it out because it's written, in legalese. And you pick up the phone, you call somebody and you say, hey, I read this, help me understand it. And I did that. I called the state gentleman up at DATCAP up in Madison by the name of Brian. I called and I said, hey, I read this. I think I understand it. How small can I really start? And he said, dude, you can start with a 10 by 10 pop-up tent and a 5-gallon bucket of clean water with soap and sanitizer, and you're off to the races. And that's what I did. I bought 3 collapsible foldable tables. I bought a 10 by 10 pop-up tent. And if you come out to our pop-up events, you'll see like my back wall of my tent is my 6 by 10, logo and all that stuff. Behind that is my wash station. I got a 5-gallon bucket of clean water. I got a 5-gallon catch barrel. I've got my wash, rinse, sanitize buckets, this, that, and the other. And you're off, man. You just get to cooking and get to slinging barbecue. Yes. My biggest challenge from that launch has been trying not to outgrow, my pickup truck and my smoker trailer. I'm wanting to grow faster than I'm ready to grow, which is a good thing. But it's also a bad thing when you're working out of the back of a Ram 2500, you're limited on space. So for 2023, I think the only growth that I'm going to do, honestly, is I'm going to buy another 10 by 10 tent, and I'm going to go 20 by 10. Other than that, it's just going to be me and some collapsible tables and some stainless steel tables and a homemade smoker that I've got sitting out front of the house right now.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I think you're the epitome of somebody kind of starting small and then moving and growing, as opposed to, you see some of these that buy these, tens of $1,000 trailers, and then they're looking to figure out, okay, how do I sell? You're kind of going the opposite, where it's, okay, I know what I need to do, the minimum, which is what you said. And then you just kind of bought a couple pop-up tents. So what rig do you have right now as far as smoking meats? Like, what are you using?
So me and a buddy of mine, and I'm going to give credit where credit is due. He actually, well before I even started, figuring out the logistics of gathering equipment and this, that, and the other, he built, I will say half of my trailer. He built half of my trailer, what is now my trailer, out of the truck bed frame of a 79 Chevy pickup truck. Right. And I say he built the half of it because there was only 2 barrels on it at the time. He was going to get rid of it. And I'd fortunately gotten stationed back up here, which is what from now on I'll refer to as home, because this is where I'm going to retire and stay long term. But I'd come back up home, got stationed back here after a tour in Jacksonville, Florida. I got to talking to the wife, and she was like, okay, let's figure out what we need to do. And I got to talking to him, and I was like, hey man, you still got that old like smoker trailer type thing that you started building? He's like, yeah, I'm getting ready to throw it away. And I said, don't. Let's figure out what we can do. I'm starting a barbecue business. I want to bring food from home, Virginia, up here to Wisconsin. Because I want to start my retirement plan right now while I'm on active duty. If I fail, I'm still getting a paycheck. It is what it is. And we took it out from back around his house and parked it up front, and we cracked open a 30 rack of Miller Lite and started planning what we were going to do with it. So yeah, so it's the bed of a 79 Chevy pickup truck, split down the middle, then welded back together. There are 6 55-gallon drums, 4 of which create 2 smoker tubes, and then the other 2 were cut down to make the fire boxes. So it's a giant offset smoker times 2, 79 Chevy pickup truck frame, exhausted out of '08 Harley Softail exhaust pipes.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all custom build, it sounds like.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And you're pulling that behind the truck.
Yep.
You're setting up your pop-up. What is like kind of your go-to? I know you've got a few events under your belt now. What has that process been like for you? What are some things you've learned? And then like, what's kind of your go-to menu item that you like to have on the menu?
So, a few is relative. I think this year, we did 18 or 19 events.
Damn, that's
it was an awesome year for us this year. For
somebody that's still working full time. Yeah, that's quite a bit.
It's been there has been a lot of 21-day long work weeks.
Sure.
Go to, I noticed up here that everybody loves pulled pork, but they don't eat it like we do down south with coleslaw. So I was losing a lot of money in coleslaw. I was making enough coleslaw to stack on top of the sandwich and eat that way. And I was like, man, these people don't eat coleslaw up here. So I stopped doing coleslaw. I will do that, like if for a private event, if you're like, hey, can we get some coleslaw either as a side or as a topping, whatever. But pulled pork is huge up here. Ribs are huge up here. And surprisingly enough, brisket is really big up here too. Now, I did not grow up. I never knew what a rib tip was until I got here. A lot of people ask for rib tips, which is basically just the excess that you cut off of a rack of spare ribs. But I never grew up eating them, so I don't really know how to cook them. I'm sure you just throw them in the smoker till they're done and then eat them, but it's not something that I'm accustomed to. So even though I get asked about it a lot up here, I've not yet started doing it. But yeah, man, pulled pork is a big draw for us. Brisket is huge for us. And then I take ribs to every event. There's no way I'm not showing up with at least 16, 20 racks of ribs. And then recently, I met up with some friends of ours here in Bristol, and the husband owns a sausage company, right? And I've added smoked sausage based off of his product, and I can't keep that in the smoker. If I bring 20 pounds, I'm selling 20 pounds.
Yeah, no, that's great. Like sausage up here is big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulled pork. Interesting about the rib tips. So like, I didn't know they were as popular up around here. So that's interesting. That's something new I learned. When you're going to these events, are you usually selling out? Or have you found it like certain spots, you're selling out of certain items and other spots you're not selling quite as much?
Because I'm keeping everything pretty simple right now. In the 17 or 18 events that we did this year, I think only 4 of them maybe we didn't sell out.
Okay.
It's huge. The commercial kitchen that I have my retail license through is who runs the Kenosha Harbor Market. So we fill our schedule with Kenosha Harbor Markets, and then we branch out from there. Last year I did Lake Geneva Bacon Fest in May. Barbecue in the Park, who was put on by the same company in Pleasant Prairie. I missed Racine's Barbecue Fest, but I am doing that this year. So I'll do 2 barbecue fests, and then Barbecue in the Park, all put on by I think Lake Geneva News. Don't quote me on that. I want to say that's who it is. I know that the coordinator, her name is Kelly. So I'm going to do all 3 of their events. I'm going to do hopefully get back into the Equestrian Center here in Bristol. They have 4 events a year, and then the rest I'm just going to fill with Kenosha Harbor Markets because it's the dead of the summer from mid-June to mid-September. I mean, I was selling plates of barbecue that had maybe 1.5 pounds of meat plus 2 sides, and people were just they were just eating them up, and I love barbecue. I love everything about barbecue, but to watch these customers eat, a two meat plate with two sides in the middle of the summer in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and just leave no scrap behind, it is pretty fun to watch.
Well, that's good. Yeah, we need to get out there, and we need to get out to that Kenosha market. I've heard good things
Yeah.
about it.
Oh yeah, really good.
And yeah, that's not too far away from us too. So yeah, hopefully we'll get out there and see you. As far as sides go, what kind of sides do you typically do with the meats that you're doing?
So right now, again, keeping everything simple until we go to a full-time operation. We're doing smoked baked beans. We're doing smoked mac and cheese. Um, those are the go-tos for the public events because they're relatively easy. But for like catering jobs and a couple of the weddings that I've done this year, we've done cheesy potato hash. We've done Southern style green beans. Those are really the four that we've got going right now. And then I started kind of testing some appetizers on some of the weddings that we're doing. So nothing outrageous. Everybody's using everybody else's stuff. So, jalapeno poppers, pig shots, shotgun shells, all that type of stuff. But food's been around for tens of thousands of years. You're not gonna create something new. You just got to take it and make it your own.
Yeah, and people are expecting some of those traditional staples too. So you got to give the people what they want.
Sure.
And I was following you during that wedding that you were doing earlier. I mean, maybe it was a few months ago. And I knew you were stressing out about it a little bit.
Oh yeah.
So what did you learn about that process of, not only catering or kind of feeding a lot of people, but feeding kind of in high stakes, right? So you got people coming to a wedding, they want the perfect day. So what did you learn about kind of food preparation and planning when you're doing an event like that?
So you hit it right. Like you hit the nail right on the head, right? They want the perfect day. And that's the thing that was stressing me out the most is if I make a mistake, I have a bad cook out at Kenosha Kenosha Harbor Market or Bacon Fest, nobody's really going to know. I will know because maybe this plate of ribs, these 4 bones that I just sold somebody, we should have kept them, ate them ourselves, or called them a loss, whatever. The big thing was barbecue is about like bringing people together, right? And you have this situation where people have already been brought together. All you have to do is provide them the same food that you would provide your family. The key component and the reason why I was stressing out so much is I did my portion math about 1 million times. And I talked with the bride. Everything was set up. Everything is good. And then I started thinking, I was like, man, why did we have that conversation again? Did I forget something? Did I not count correctly? Did I count for, 3 to 4 ounces per this side per person and 3 to 5 ounces if I'm serving 3 meats and this, that, did I do the math enough? And I got to a point where I overthought it and I took 3 extra briskets that I needed. I took 1 case of mac and cheese extra that I needed, and they had leftovers. They were perfectly happy with them. It's their food; they paid for it. But I think the biggest thing that I learned from doing the 3 weddings that I did this year is relax. Cooking barbecue is cooking barbecue is cooking barbecue. You do the math. You figured out what you needed. Just cook barbecue. So. Going into 2023, I've already contracted 1 wedding for May. I feel much more relaxed going into May's wedding than I was for the previous ones. But they were still fun. They were great events. Everything came out perfect. But it's not until the meat hits the grill grates and the smoke starts cooking it that you're really like, okay, everything's fine. Pork butts are in, brisket's in. One of the weddings was a whole hog. We got the whole hog dressed. We got it in the pig roaster. And once the meat hits the grill, now you just sit back and wait to serve it,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great tip, serve serve like you'd be serving your family. Barbecue is barbecue is barbecue, and kind of relax and settle down a little bit. If you're cooking for that large of people, usually you kind of know what you're doing already. So that's great advice. And usually at this point, kind of I'll ask, because we do have like a lot of people that listen or watch the podcast that maybe are new to grilling and barbecuing, but since you're a little bit newer to like catering and events, I'll tailor it a little bit. So what advice would you give yourself if you could go back in time? You just decided that you're going to be starting up and selling food. What advice would you give yourself?
That's actually a good question. What advice would I give myself? I would say, don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid to try something. My pulled pork is different from Jimmy's out in Lake Geneva. Our pulled porks are different from Jeff up in Racine, and there's just the end product is always going to be different. The process is always going to be the same. So if you have done something for your family 100 times and you know that this is what you know how to do, then just do that, but on a bigger scale. Relax, trust the process, trust the science behind, cooking meat, and just let it do its thing. The meat is the boss, right? A lot of people, I just had this conversation yesterday. Again, I just got home about an hour ago from our final night of initiation for the new Chief Selects. And I cooked barbecue for the whole mess. I cooked barbecue. I did ribs, chicken, mac and cheese, and beans for 150 people. And while I was cooking all day yesterday, one of the other chiefs came up and asked me, hey, I got a problem with my pork butts. I put them in, and the recipe says 8 hours, and it should be at this time, and at this time, and my bark's not setting. And this, don't listen to a recipe. Don't listen to a recipe. Put it in the smoker, 275. It'll tell you when it's done. A lot time though, an 8.5 pound pork butt shouldn't take any more than, I don't know. And I know I'm getting ready to go against what I just said about don't worry about the time, but an 8.5 pound pork butt shouldn't take any more than 10 to 12 hours, right? That sounds like a long time, but if that meat hits a stall and it doesn't feel like cooking past 170 for 4 hours, there went that recipe. That recipe that just told you, hey man, it's going to take you 10 hours to cook this 8.5 pound pork butt. Well, 4 of it wasn't even accounted for. So let the meat tell you when it's ready. Don't worry about internal temperature before you wrap it. Smoke it to a color. If you want mahogany bark, smoke it till it's mahogany, then wrap it, then put it back in and let it finish up. If you want it a little bit darker, if you want it a little bit, your briskets, if you want a little bit of sugar cookie on them, let it go a little bit longer. Trust the process, trust the science, wrap it, finish it, rest it, slice it.
Yeah, trust the process. And I think you're spot on. You got to kind of, do what you've always done, maybe at a larger scale. But yeah, ultimately trust the process and, cook to a temp, not a time. So yeah, that's great advice. And then like, what's a piece of equipment that you use right now that, you couldn't live without aside from, the smoker?
Thermometer. Yep. I have a Thermapen collapsible thermometer. And I absolutely love it. But even to the same thing, right? Temp is nothing more than a guide. It's really feel that you're cooking for. I've had briskets finish at 195. I've had briskets finish at 203. I've had briskets finish at 211. I've had pork butts pulled with your fingertips at 190. I've had pork butts pulled with your fingertips at 210. So use your thermometer and the temperature that it gives you as nothing more than a guide. But really at the end of the cook, if you can put that thermometer in that meat and it feels like all you're doing is dipping it in a cup of water, pull it. Don't pull it, but pull it from the smoker, rest it. Rest is huge. Pull it from the smoker, rest it, pull it, slice it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing that I have right now in my butcher bag or in my equipment box is 100% my probe thermometers.
Awesome. Well, that's great. That's a great tip, and a great piece of equipment as well. Well, Chad, this has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Where can people find you if they want to go follow what you're doing with your business, but then also like if on the socials and stuff, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All of them are American Made BBQ. So just search us on those 4 platforms. As events come up, I put them automatically on my Facebook calendar and the events portion of my Facebook page. But I try to keep Instagram and Facebook updated parallel. Twitter, I'm not very good at. I have no idea when the last time I made a Twitter or a tweeter or whatever it's called. TikTok, I have TikTok because my kids told me to get TikTok. I'm going to be honest with you. It was the greatest piece of advice my preteen children told me to do, because it has blown up pretty quickly. And it's awesome. From the little video things that you put on that you can post to the lives. So yeah, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them, same name, American Made BBQ.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll put links to, your pages, in the show notes so people can find you. But no, this has been an awesome conversation. I appreciate you sharing kind of your journey, from startup to where you're at right now. I've been watching your journey. It's been inspiring. So I know a lot of people that have been thinking about it might have some good ideas now. And I think the biggest one I heard from you is, hey, just get started. It doesn't have to be huge. Start small and then grow from there. So Chad, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Greg. I appreciate it, brother. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, no problem. Cheers.
All right, man. Take care.
Well, there you have it. Chad really provides some awesome insights and some learnings to how he started his business and what he's up to now. A lot of great stuff. I found like his motivation, and then also like his drive to just start asking questions to find the answers that he needed. And then also his tip is like, just start small. And just get started and ask a lot of questions, find out who you need to ask. So that's awesome tips from him. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Again, if you did, feel free to give this one a share and a review to help us reach new audiences. If you are in the Wisconsin area, I'll be out at a few events coming up here. We'll be out at the Jefferson County Fair grounds for a holiday market coming up here on the 12th of November. And then I'll be out at the Something Special from Wisconsin, a holiday fair out in Johnson Creek at the elementary school out there. Giving away or having our rubs and our sauces, and we got new gift packs and stuff there. So if you're looking for holiday gifts or just looking for yourself, stop out and see us, or you can always find us at burnpitbbq.com. But appreciate y'all listening, and hopefully you get a chance to get out and grill. Thanks.